It actually means
All right,
nothing.
good morning, everybody. We're back. We were trying to get stream live on LinkedIn. I'm hoping we've solved the issue of streaming. Our expert, Chris, will figure it out for us in the future, our producer. But welcome to this Saturday morning. We're about 5 minutes late. I guess we were a couple minutes early. We thought we were streaming, but we're here. I want to actually welcome our guest, Matthew Stafford, e-commerce expert, and he's going to tell his story today. And we're excited to learn more about your journey, Matt. So welcome.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward to the
And then,
conversation.
and Adam, welcome again as the co-host, and Chris is our producer and I guess tri-host as well on Drink Up. So we're excited to get into it today. But before I move forward, I just want to call out a couple of our sponsors, Bev Assets. Thank you very much, Alicia Vargo, for sponsoring the podcast along with me. And then Adam, thanks for Alias Advising. And then I have to call out our friend, Jay Williams. So Jay actually is the proprietor, owner, and founder of Freebird Water. He actually sent us a few cases. So Adam, I'll certainly share with you, and Chris, you have to just drive up and come grab your water. So I'll be enjoying this bevy today as we get into the conversation. But with all that being said, Matt, so I know we were talking earlier, and Adam, you might want to mute your line because it's kind of noisy. But tell us about your journey from concrete to e-commerce. I'm not sure how that ties together, but very interested. Have you share that this morning?
Yeah, I don't think it does. It was quite a pivot. I was traveling. I was on the road about 200 days a year. We were pouring flat work floors and parking lots for Home Depot, Menards, Lowe's, all these big box stores. And so about 200 days a year, I was in a hotel, and I went to a Tony Robbins event, and he marketed a program that was like a monthly program where you get a DVD and a booklet, which kind of actually dates because I don't know when the last time people sold DVDs, but it was about probably 15 years ago. And it was the first time that I had actually even thought about people selling stuff online and making money that way. And so it very much intrigued me. And so I started playing around with it. I got into SEO, did that for about a year and didn't enjoy it. I felt like that was not the way that I wanted to pivot. And then a site came out called Teespring, which is where you could come up with a funny saying or a design, you put it on a t-shirt and you run ads at it. And that worked really well for me. I actually had the very first shirt that I did I was scraping people's names from Facebook IDs, and I used the name Schmidt. And so I came up with a shirt that said Schmidt happens. And then I sold it to all the people
Adam
named
probably has
Schmidt.
that T-shirt, by the way. I'm sure.
And so it ended up doing about, I want to say like 10 grand in net profit in about 48 hours. And I was like, oh, this is interesting.
It works.
And before, I started figuring it out, that shirt ended up making me about 100 grand, and I ended up doing about 15 million over the next 3 years selling t-shirts. And so I had sold my concrete business and the two salons that I owned and went into online business full time.
Wait a minute. So concrete salons to T-shirts to e-commerce.
Yeah.
You made 15 million bucks in how many years?
It's about just a hair over 3 years.
That's amazing. And was it just you doing the T-shirt business?
No, I had someone that would do the designs. I would come up with the ideas and then run the ads. So it was actually a really good. It was a fun time because it didn't require very much from us at all. We actually put our designs onto a platform. You'd sell them in a campaign. You could set the campaign length, and when it would end, if you had sold more shirts, they would print them for less, so you would make more money. And if you didn't sell as many, you would pay more.
So no lie about this. I was in graphic arts in high school, and the only places I got A's was in graphic arts and photography. Everybody else, I was a C student, to be perfectly fair. But graphic arts, and we actually did the screen printing, and we made T-shirts.
Yeah.
And so is that how you did it? You like to take these screen print them and then put them down and make them?
Well, we didn't. They did. The platform printed and shipped them for us. So all we had to do was come up with the designs and run the ads to it, and then they would sell us. So if we would sell a shirt for $30, we'd have $10 in the shirt printing, and then we would have $10 in ads, and we'd make $10. That was the goal.
Holy cow!
And
So the margin's incredible.
yeah, yeah,
But
That is
it
amazing.
was kind of like a pre-sale, wasn't it? You
yeah, yep,
pre-sold during the
yep.
campaign, and if you sold more, you made more.
Yep,
And
the more you sold, then
I
the
like that.
cheaper they would print them and ship them for
Yeah.
you. So if you sold like 10, it might cost you $14 a shirt, and you cut those campaigns and go, yeah, it's not working, and cut your loss, and the ones that were working, you'd scale them up.
So you could see
I
really
was
quick
probably
what's
your best
working on.
client.
Well, you can see what's working out, but so why would you leave a successful business, 3 years, 15 million? Seems to me that's a great business. It's a great lifestyle business.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm assuming you just reached a point where it wasn't scalable. Is that the
No,
reason?
that platform made some poor decisions, and it kind of they were growing and scaling, and made some bad decisions, and so it went away.
Okay.
Um,
Oh,
I
so
I
out of
ended up
necessity, you had to pivot.
Yeah, but what I did is I moved to Vancouver, British Columbia, and we built our own platform, and we allowed marketers to get on that. And so we basically continued that for another 4 years. And then
Okay.
we sold that platform to a company down in Texas.
Oh,
And
wow.
then that was where I got my start in Shopify. The next year I bought a Shopify site and started on that.
So I'm always loving talk. We love talking to founders. I have to ask. So you sold that business, and I always talk about this. You test it, you build it, you scale it, and you sell it.
Yeah.
Everybody promotes I 10x it, 5x it. Did you 10x it and 5x to sell? How'd you do with that? How was that?
No, in all honesty, that was the first time I ever did anything like that, and I didn't have anyone to help me. So, in hindsight, there was a lot that could have been done
Yeah,
to be much better.
yeah,
But at the time, I was still riding the high of what I had just done, and
yeah.
was ready for the next venture.
Got it. So you didn't know the value because we talked to a lot of like VCs and people that raise funds, and this is really important because we deal with beverages, right? But every beverage we deal with, right, Adam, is they wanna eventually sell it, right? So they test it, they build it, they scale it, and they sell it, right? So your story about how you built that, concrete business, you sold that, right? Boom.
Yep.
Then
Yep.
you went into, I think the T-shirt was the next one, and you built this business in 3 years, 15 million. So I don't know what you did the next four, but obviously it was successful. And then you just got the itch to do something else, which we find with so many founders that they build more than just one company. They build multiple companies, right? So
Yeah.
what's the drive to do that? Why not stick? The concrete I get because you're traveling 200 days a year, right?
Yeah.
But like what keeps I mean, I guess what keeps you going? What drove you to the third company?
Probably life circumstances, like there's nothing ever, or you can plan a lot of things, but then life happens and changes. So for me, I've had partners, and a lot of times I feel like partnerships have a life cycle. They work well. You create something, and then a lot of times success changes people. And so there's opportunities to, cash in on what you did well together and move on.
That's interesting. Okay, so let's get into what you're doing now. So you made the transition
Before Sam,
from the
before we do
yeah, go ahead.
that, I do have a question that does not
Yeah, yeah.
matter, but I'm gonna be fascinated by the answer regardless of what it is. Did you grow up as a concrete guy who just happened to open salons, or did you grow up as a salon person who happened to get in like that combination? We didn't talk anything about how the hell you got to those two in the first place, and I have to know
Right,
because
that's
I
the
think
polar opposites. I don't see a lot of concrete
yeah,
guys in salons.
Yeah.
So
So,
that's an interesting story.
yeah, my concrete business was in Michigan.
okay,
And so in the winter, it's really not that easy to pour concrete because it gets super cold.
right.
And I was actually at church, and my best friend's dad came up to me and said, he goes, you should buy our tanning salon from us. And 7 days later, I ended up owning it. And over the winter, I doubled it in the first 12 months, and then the next year we doubled it again. And I was like, oh wow, this is pretty fun. It gives me something to do in the winter when we're all laid off. And so I ended up buying into a franchise and building another large one down in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Okay.
So I had the concrete business and the two salons.
So it's a tanning salon. It
Networking
was
is how we got from concrete to salons. Networking. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, literally. Yeah, and the fact that there was a slow period that
Right.
I wasn't good at sitting idle.
Sure. No, that's like I said, I knew I was going to be fascinated by the answer regardless of what it was, but I had to ask.
Yeah, and then, so this is what's great about Adam is he is the thinker of the team, and he'll just like he's a great listener as well, and he's gonna like, look, okay, let's go back and can you replay that for me, Matt, and how you got there, right?
Yeah.
So, you, so now you're in this e-commerce space, and it seems to be. We talked to our brands about e-commerce, like to build a brand. Matter of fact, I was just on the Women of the Vine and Spirits with another e-commerce pro, and he was talking about that you can actually build a brand first e-commerce before you actually go into the real world with brands. Is that true? Like,
You mean before you go into retail?
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, like the majority of the businesses that we work with are only online. They
okay,
don't have a retail presence. We're just getting into we have a couple of really large clients. They do about 80 million B2B, and they're trying to break into the online world. And so it's a brand new education for them. They don't
yeah,
really translate well back and forth, but they do help each other. So what they do in stores ends up driving a lot of visitors to their website. Most of the time, they're not good at optimizing their website because they don't understand online sales because all they do is, they have reps and business representatives that sell into these different um, conglomerates, and it doesn't translate well into D2C.
yeah. From my standpoint, we work with a lot of small brands. I'm sure Adam will chime in here as well and caress, but we have these brands that come to market. Freebird or Even or whatever, name a brand, right? And they can't get like people like Walmart to even give them the time of day because they don't
Right.
have the velocity to actually, be considered, right? So that because there's a fight for that shelf space. So I'm assuming that you could build that velocity through your expertise to build a story to actually go to Walmart with a brand. Is that
Yeah,
what you
that's the
do?
goal. Yep. Our
Okay.
goal is so average e-commerce converts around 2%.
Okay.
And when I got into the e-commerce world, I started a kitchen supply store that had like choppers and avocado tools and stuff like that. And I was selling 300 sales a day and started scaling it up. And then I started adding like upsells and things to my store, and it got worse and worse. And so I went from being very profitable to some days I'd lose money, some days I'd break even, some days I would make a little bit, and it wasn't working, but I had about 250 grand worth of
Mhm.
kitchen tools in my warehouse. And so I was panicking, and I'm like, I got to figure this out. A guy was selling a program. I think it was $1,000 for 6 calls, and he would go through your Google Analytics with you and teach you how to look at your analytics. And when I did that, by the end of the 6 weeks, I had found enough stuff in there that I changed my site, and I was making about 400 sales a day and back to profitability.
There's a scale. You had to hit a threshold to be profitable or whatever. I always think about the movie Joy, the lady that made the mops, and it's actually she built it through QFC or Home Shopping Network, and she did it. So I'm assuming e-commerce is that frontier where you can do like the like I'm thinking like on our show like live social selling, like that the next like how do you tie e-commerce to something like a show like this to actually bring brands to promote them, to help brand. I don't know if that's the next adventure that you could be on with e-commerce. Does that tie in, or am I missing them? Am I missing the mark?
That probably wouldn't be my specialty.
Yeah,
My goal is, if you think about it, if average conversion's 2%,
yeah,
most business owners are like, oh, okay, I need to buy another 100 visitors so I can make 2 more sales. And my thought process was, and because I was good at traffic, I was like, that feels broken. I had 100 people come to my website and only 2 people purchased. If I'm going to go get another 100 more, what about the 98 people that raised their hand and then left without buying something?
Mhm.
If I get 2 more of them, I just doubled my business on the same ad spend.
Mhm.
And I thought about Dan Kennedy's quote, he who can spend the most to acquire a customer wins. And so if I'm making 4 sales per 100 and my competitor's making 2 sales per 100 on average, I can spend more, I can buy market share, and I'm going to win. And so with that philosophy over the next 6, 8 months, I actually reached out to a couple of my friends that I had sold shirts with,
yeah,
who had went into e-commerce while I was building that platform.
yeah.
and said, "Hey, I think I can help make your business do a lot better." And the first one that I helped was a friend of mine. He owned a site called Organifi. They sold a green juice. And so he had done just short of 3 million on his site the year before I started helping him. And in the next 90 days, we had him at a $9.2 million run rate. And he ended up doing 16 million that year. So I was like, okay, this works. Lightning didn't just strike me and it wasn't a flash in the pan. So I reached out to another friend and they were doing print on demand, similar to the t-shirt business. They were doing about 400 grand a month. And over the next 6 months, we had them at 2.7 million a month. And so from that point forward, I had two really good case studies, two very good clients that started paying me. And that's how the agency at Build Grow Scale was built. And now that's what we do. We serve clients that do between, a quarter million to $4 or $5 million a month. And we help them optimize their site and scale their
But
business.
you're building big clients. You can't, like, my clients can't afford you, right? There's no way they can't come in and use your services, right? You're too expensive.
We have an 8-week program that where we'll go in and put the best practices on their site so that they can grow.
Okay. I was being
And
facetious, by the way, but I wanted
yeah,
to see how we, because we have brands we'd love to connect you with, by the way,
yeah, sure.
starting out. So it's an 8-week program to explain it.
Yeah, that's a 8-week program where we go and we look through their website, do an audit, and then create a priority list with them, show them in their data where and why we want to make those changes, and then upgrade it so that that program pays for itself. And then it also, for me, I really love what I do. I come to work excited every day, and I don't want to work with people that I don't like. And so that 8-week program is kind of like a date before you get married. And we get to know them. They understand the cadence of how we operate. And if we can make it long term, that's cool. And if not, they're going to go away and understand their website a lot better.
What's your conversion on that? Because we have a 90-day program that we do with clients. It's really reachable. Or, like, do they stick with you, or like, what's the fall off, I guess, or like, what percentage actually stick with you after the 8-week program?
Most of them, I would say not all of them qualify for the full on partnership just because they're not doing enough volume, but they'll keep using our services and do different things. Probably 70%, 65, 70% of them.
And Matt, what is that? I might be asking for somebody I know who's in this room with me. What does that 8-week program cost?
It's 15 grand. We charge them $7,500 down and then $7,500 4 weeks, and it takes them through the entire 8 weeks.
Do you get actual ad spend in that 8 weeks or anything, any activation?
Yeah, we don't buy ads. We make the ads work better. So if the more eyeballs that are seeing the site, the better we can work because we use data. I'm very product agnostic. I don't care what you're selling. What I care about is what the people are doing when they get on the website and how do we get them to take the action that you want them to take. And so we have a very systematic process where we go through the site. We actually start at the cart and the checkout because if I make your homepage work better, that just drives more people to your category page or your product page. That didn't make you more money yet. So I'm going to fix your checkout and your cart first, and then go to your product page, then go to your category page, then go to your homepage, which feels very backwards to the owner because they want their homepage to be the best.
Yeah.
But if we do it that way, then every page we fix creates more money.
Interesting. So does it tie into and I'll let you go, Adam, just one quick question.
Yeah.
100 and the 2 that come, but you're going to go back and focus on the 98. Does that help you find the 98 on the one ad spend if you do that work?
100. Yeah, we make ads work better. We make 4 or 5 convert out of 100 instead of 2.
So in the long run, I'm paying you 15 grand, but the reality is I don't have to buy another ad spend because I'm going to work the ad I bought more effectively.
Yeah, your ads will be more profitable, so you can actually scale them or actually even drive traffic from more sites, more different, more platforms.
Adam, you had a question?
Yeah. So kind of to play off of Sam's question, it's one I ask everybody. And before I get to it, and I'm prone to doing this as well, I just want to call out, reiterate some of the things you've said. 3 years, $15 million. I can't tell you how many brand owners I talk to who are in the idea phase, let's put it that way. And I'll say, like, what's your goal? And they'll say, well, my goal is to, exit and sell the brand. And I'll say, okay, what's the timeline you're imagining that's going to happen on? And they go, well, like 5 years. Don't get me wrong, every industry is different, but the average in CPG is like 12.
Yeah.
If you're good. right? If you're
Yeah.
really good. Now, if you're Ghost or somebody, you do it in 8, awesome. But 3 to 5 is almost unheard of. But I love the additional call out you made of like, it was my first exit. And I didn't really know what I had. I think that's something else a lot of people don't consider is they think, yeah, I'm going to grow this. And then somebody's just going to offer me a shitload of money. No, you have to tell them what it's worth, right?
Yeah, selling a business, there's a whole business in selling businesses.
Totally.
And the more times that you exit, you get better and better at it. You learn, I learned the lessons the hard way because I didn't get a mentor, and I'm just rock-headed like that sometimes.
No, but I mean, I think and Sam and I have talked about this, and I've made posts about it on LinkedIn before. Like, for as much as I love and I applaud people when I see the LinkedIn taglines that, 3 times exiter, founder, whatever. Cool. That's only half of the story. Tell me how many times you fell on your face, right?
Yeah.
That's what I want to
That's
hear.
that's that's where all the lessons are learned is in
Right,
the mistakes.
right.
Yeah, we don't. I just uh, finished my second dark retreat, which is where you spend 4 or 5 days in complete darkness and silence. I got out of
Jesus.
that and did a temazcal, which is a Mexican sweat lodge, and so what I realized after that, because I journaled for the next 2 days once I was done with those experiences, is that all of the growth happens in the struggle. It's not in the celebration. And
Totally.
so when we're going through those things, being aware enough to uh, question our assumptions and not let our ego get in the way is where we can advance and grow a lot more and a lot faster. But
Wow,
that's where
that
the
is so
lessons are.
No, I
powerful.
love it.
What
That
we
that
just said.
that could be the clip of the day right there.
That's the clip of the entire 3 years I've been doing this, by the way, Adam.
Right.
I'm going to go find a sweat lodge. And Matt, I'm coming up to find you, and we're going to go do this together so I can journal. And I will leave Chat GPT behind and actually journal, which
So,
is
Yeah, it's
so
amazing. For me, I realized that our mind is so determined to keep us safe that at the first hint of struggle, it tries to claim that that's your limit. And when you go through an experience like those, you realize that there is several gears beyond what you thought was possible. And the moment you see that, you can't unsee it. And for me, over the last 6 months, our business has grown over 60%. And I believe before the end of the year, it'll more than double just because of the change in the mindset from the learning that you get in the struggle.
is that manifesting a little bit to learn how to manifest? If you believe it, you achieve it. If you like I said, it already happened. Is that part of it? Like you have to push your mind beyond the limits of you think
That's not how
is
it's worked for
possible.
me.
Okay.
I'm not saying that some people that's wouldn't be their discovery. For me, it's just been when I say I'm going to do something now and I don't feel like it, I still do it. So the having 100% integrity with yourself and being willing to understand that when your mind says, "Oh, I don't feel like it," that's not an excuse to not do it.
right.
Right. That's
So
it's
it reminds me very much, and I'm pulling them up because I'd read the book a while ago, but it reminds me of the Four Agreements, which I'm sure you're
Yeah,
familiar with. Yeah.
yeah.
Great book, real short for anybody who's out there listening who's not familiar. Good book. Um, um, so the question that comes with that entirely long preface, that was super insightful what you shared, is so let's say, because again, it's a lot of who I talk to, and I know it's a lot of who Sam talks to. Like, I think an 8-week course for 15 grand, big picture is a drop in the bucket when you think about the numbers you're sharing and the value you're getting out of it, and the insights and understanding how to read your data. Like, that is a perfectly valid and valuable spend, right? That said, my question is for brands hyper small, like the ones I often get into conversations with, who maybe they have a website. If they do, it's probably not set up great. It's definitely not set up great. They probably don't even have one yet. It's in the process of being built. Like, would you recommend that 8-week course is something that they budget for, or is there something they need to do first to get there? And what does that look like?
Yeah, I would say we also do an audit.
Okay.
It's like $1,500.
Yeah.
And so we can go through an audit and give them a 10, 12-page document and they can go through and make those changes.
Yeah.
And that's going to help them get to a point,
Okay.
hopefully, where they can buy ads and make
Sure.
some money and then get to that.
Cool.
Uh, and then there's all kinds of free resources on our site.
Cool.
We literally share our very best stuff on podcast, on everything, and then we actually embed them right into our website, because the goal is for us, we realize that um, just because we give you our best stuff doesn't mean that you wouldn't want us to implement it for you, because we're better at it than you are. You can go, wow, that's a really good idea. I want to do that. And then when you sit there and try to implement it, you might need help. You'll call us. If you don't need our help, you'll implement it, you'll make some wins, and your brand will do better. You'll tell other people about us. And it's just literally been our strategy. I don't buy ads for our company. We literally do podcasts and referral, word of mouth. And that has built a business, that does between, a couple $1 million a year.
That's
And
what we were talking about a few weeks ago. Remember that now. Just thanks for sparking. We were talking about you just go on podcasts, and
yeah,
then
yeah,
from that,
and just
that's
share our
built your
very
product.
best stuff.
Well, I
Yeah,
think
and we talked about lead magnets, because we, always put lead magnets out there and just give it away for free. Every day, give something that they maybe would pay us for, but I just give it away for free, because you know what? They're not going to, 90% of them aren't going to implement it anyway. And if they do, they're going to say, man, you should go talk to this person, talk to Matt, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, Adam, you had a
No,
question.
no, you're buzzing the same way I am, and I love. I tried to say. My wife, if she was here, would tell you how much I ramble about what I'm about to say. But I bring that up because I think it and I feel it, and I've felt it for a long time being in this industry. But it's always nice to hear people like you who have had far, even just looking at the numbers, right, comparison to another, like my bills are paid. I don't have a $15 million business, but like somebody who's done a bit more, to put it, nicely, to echo the same points, right? And the what I'm getting at is, like, I talk to a lot of consultants and I talk to a lot of friends in the industry who'll be like, oh, well, we have to charge X, or we can't work with these people if they can't meet us here, or if they don't have this done. And I'm like, you talk about the 2 and the 100. I'm like, if that's your perspective, you're immediately shutting the door on 80% of the world. Like, and it makes no fucking sense to me. So, like, instead of doing that, like, I'm not saying devalue yourself. I'm not saying do 15 grand worth of work for $1,500. I'm saying get hyper focused in what you offer for $1,500 and let them take it or leave it. But at least then you're meeting people where they are.
Yeah.
And everybody here.
Yeah, we want them to grow up and be able to use us become a client.
And that's everybody hears me say that and they're like, really? And I'm like, again, I spend all day, every week, either talking to tiny brands asking how they can get bigger, or large support partners, vendors, consultants, whoever, going, how do I work with tiny brands? And when I tell them, charge them $200 for an hour-long phone call, start there, right? And they go, really? Why? Why would I do that? I'm like, how the hell else do you think anybody who's got an idea is going to become the next Celsius? Somebody has to take them by the hand and educate them.
Well, think about our friend in France. We haven't charged them $1, but I mean, you took him for a week.
10 days. He stayed at my house.
2 days, right? But you gave him all this like information to help him move forward, and plus we introduced him to like our other folks that we know out there.
Yeah.
And he'll be back. He'll be back to you, Adam, and stuff. And
he's texting me this morning.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. No,
right.
We're in it. He's texting me this morning. So no, Matt, I mean, the point I'm getting at is I'm very much enjoying this conversation and your insight, because it's just further solidifying a lot of stuff that I feel. But it's always nice to hear somebody who's done it a few more times go, no, that's really the way it is, right?
Yeah.
So I'm poking around on the website while we're talking, and I guess to get back into it a little bit, because this is a lot of what Sam and I do here. Who are you, like, if you can paraphrase it, and I know that's probably difficult, who are you looking to get introduced to most? What type of brand, what size of brand, whatever the answer is to that question.
Yeah. So I will say that for the last nine years, or for the first 9 years, we were kind of pigeonholed ourselves in the physical product space. So it was physical products. In the last 24 months, we've actually started helping people who have digital carts too for information. And I've realized that I probably hurt the growth of my business by not understanding that what I did would help those brands as well. And I'll just give you an example. I have a friend who owns a company, and they do about 60 million a year, or they did about 60 million a year. And he asked me if I could help him fix their data. And I did. It took us a couple weeks. And then I said, can I run a test for you? because I think I can improve your percentage of conversions. They're like, sure. And so we ran a test for them. I put a question on their thank you page that said, what was the one thing that almost made you not buy? So we asked the people who had just purchased,
Mhm.
what was the thing that almost made them not buy? And we got about 600 responses in 7 days, and 60 of them were the video was too long. And so when I told the owner, he's like, yeah, we can't shorten the video. Like every time we do, it hurts conversions. Like we've tried multiple versions. And so I thought about it for about an hour and I texted him back. I said, how many videos do you watch on 1x speed? And he goes, none. Why? And I said, why don't you give them the option
Speed
to
it up.
watch it at 1.25 or 1.5?
Brilliant.
We got a 10% lift. So for them, that's a $6 million win.
Fuck yeah.
Holy
And
cow.
from that test. And now they do over 100 million. They're the largest education in their market. And yeah, so it really is being able to think differently and understand that the consumer's telling you what will work and what won't work if you look at the data. And if you don't look at the data, then you'll never find it.
Well, you answered the question. The problem was the video was too long. And then they're like, well, we can't fix the video. I'm like, okay, then speed up the video.
Yeah, they totally had dismissed it as, well, we can't fix that because we'll lose money. And
Right.
instead, they won $6 million
Well,
more.
that's because you went up into the hut and did the journaling after
Yeah,
3
yeah,
days of in the heat, so your mind was able to push through. I'm
yeah.
clearly seeing this now. I need to do the same thing. How about the services industry? So, Adam and I and many of our friends, we offer services, right? So
Yeah.
we provide a service to help, like we help find distribution of customers. Adam does the same thing plus operations, and he'll take it from like, get it in a can and the whole bit. Like, can we do something with e-commerce with our services?
I mean, yeah, lead gen, same. Because really, that's what you're doing. You're looking for leads that you can talk
Yeah.
to and sell. So yeah, really, the website is your conversation with your potential client before they get a hold of you.
So
So
I'll take
making
that.
that clear and work well is always going to net a better result.
So I'll take
Yeah.
that a step further, Sam, and it's something that I've not between trade show schedules and I had a boo-boo I made that I caught last night that I was having a panic attack about until about 1 a.m. But at some point here in the next couple weeks, I have time blocked. I have a couple times blocked to work on this, but like from my perspective, there's that. Sorry, I don't know what's causing this white noise.
It's okay. It's not too bad. You're okay. Keep on going.
So like on my site, and again, ops is obviously a little bit different than sales, but like I've started playing around because a buddy helped me build a very basic Square site and he works for e-commerce. That's his job. And so it's a little nicer than the average bear, but there's a section where you can put, and I'm not going to say any of this correctly, but basically you can put a cost of goods spreadsheet that I would put together for someone, right? I built it out and I'm still working on making it better, but I built it out in a way where there's instructions like put this number here, put that number there. And then when you do, the formulas are there, the conditional formatting's there. And so you follow the instructions, but that's behind a paywall. So it's like, hey, if you want to pay me to actually kind of like the 15 grand thing, like if you want to pay me to actually do it, let's talk. And that'll be a little bit bigger number and we'll take some time. But if you've already got all the information and you just want a spreadsheet that captures it all and you need a template that somebody's made before that's done it, pay me a few $100, pay me $1,000, whatever, like it's behind a paywall, but it's yours. Take it and do with it what you want. You can change it, so on. And I want to do that with like 4 or 5 or 6 other documents and then get into like a video series thing, just like I used to do with my lab learning videos, where some are free, but they're shorter. Some are more long form, but they're maybe paid for. And I see Matt nodding along. I'm assuming, Matt, that's the kind of stuff when you talk about non-physical products that you could help a lot with.
Yeah, 100%, where they can make sales for digital information or videos or papers, whatever. Yep. So it's basically just e-commerce for a digital product. And what we realized that was so cool about that is with physical products, when we make your site convert better, a lot of times that creates other problems. Now you need more distribution, you need more manufacturing, you need more customer service, where with digital products, you can scale it up infinitely fast and you can double, triple, 100x a business in a year, and it doesn't take any more other than a couple of admin. And so we realized that there's a lot more potential there to grow faster and a lot bigger numbers with the same service that we're doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that came from a buddy who shall remain nameless. because he's asked me to for now. Still working a day job that he doesn't want to know is that he's moonlighting. But that was his whole point. He was like, "How are you making money?" Because he does e-commerce. He works in conversions for a larger company, and I was like, "Well, it's word of mouth, it's friends, it's referrals, and it's working. Like again, bills are paid." He goes, "Have you ever thought about you know just like paid online?" You have a video explaining something, and if it's 2 o'clock in the morning, people want to educate themselves, they can go find it. I'm like, no, because you should. Okay, like that tracks. It makes perfect sense to me, but I never thought about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I got so a couple questions getting into it. So what would you want to like, so you're here, you obviously have built your business by coming on podcasts like us, right? So thank you, first of all, for joining us, and the information that we're sharing and your journey has been incredible. But for your business, what would you want to like convey to folks here today that are, about your business? What do you want them to know about e-commerce? And what obviously you scrub the website, you actually, activate, that ad spend to make it more effective, so they can actually get more, I guess, more people to show up. But what other things do you want to convey to folks here this morning?
Well, I think it's the greatest time. I think we're living in the greatest era ever for business and online business. I feel like e-commerce is probably, if you liken it to a baseball game, we're probably in the third inning, and things are just going to continue to get better. I mean, before COVID, less than 10% of sales were made online. During COVID, it went all the way up to 33%. And then now it's back down to like 27, 28%. So we know that uh, the people who buy online right now are still early adopters, and it's just going to get exponentially better. It's also going to get exponentially more competitive. So I would say there's no time like now to get started.
Right. So get in now. But it won't
Yeah,
be
and
too
and you
late,
can use AI to make your team way more effective. So I have friends and companies that we work with that instead of needing 30 team members to do 3 million a month, they're doing that with 15. One company, they have about 15 employees, they're doing about 5 million a month.
Amazing. So if you're a brand or a service, or a digital company, I would say, get into e-commerce now. Take advantage of services like what Matt offers. When you have if I have a brand, I say I have a tequila brand, and out of about say $159 to $179, and they want to get started in Houston. Is it good to get started e-commerce versus physical? Do you do e-commerce first? Do you do physical? You do it at the same time? What's the best approach for a brand that's coming to market? Let's say in
Yeah, I
October.
would do the market research and see how many people are searching for tequila online, and then
Okay.
figure out what they type in to do that. And then what I will say right now, there is a huge shift. In fact, over the last 24 months, Google has lost about 30% of their search volume because now people are typing the searches into the large language models rather than Google.
Sure.
And so an entirely new industry has emerged called AEO instead of SEO, and where all of these big legacy brands have dominated the market because they've been putting out content for 30 years. A brand new upstart can literally be talked about on Reddit threads and a couple of other areas, forums that the large language models scrub for their data. And now when someone searches for that, they show up on the artificial engine operate uh, engines.
AEO.
Yeah, AEO instead of SEO.
Love
And
it.
so
Yeah.
literally we're working in that neighborhood already, and it's really funny how the large language models are recommending articles that we've written that are on these threads that people have shared. So now the large language models are giving us out. So yeah, a very small startup can put their money in the right place, and they can compete with these huge legacy brands and win.
So wait a minute. So my Alicia, I'm sure you're listening. John, you should grab John if he's not listening. So John does SEO, right?
Yeah.
And he's always saying, okay, you need to put an article on Tuesday and Thursday on our website, and then you need to have the backlinks to go do whatever he does, right? And then you also have to optimize it with the keywords.
Yep.
But now you're talking about AEO, and I'm fascinated because I love this. So how do you get into AEO? Can I just do it through
Yeah,
ChatGPT?
SEMrush just did a really good article. They did a deep dive. It's about a 15-minute read.
Okay.
I can send you the link to it. You can post it in the show notes, or you can just go Google SEMrush AEO, and they'll talk about the large language models and the amount of traffic that they've taken from Google and why everybody's doing that. In fact, Google realized they needed to do something really quick, and so now they're actually defaulting to Gemini's large language model as answers because they realized people were leaving. The large language models just gives you a much better answer, more targeted to what you're looking for, rather than 50 options that you got to go do the research on.
That's amazing you said that, because now I'll like do searches like, what's the difference between this drug and this drug or whatever. I'm on some medications, and the Gemini comes up and it says, so it's AI that's telling me. That's the first thing that comes up is the AI. It's not the searches or whatever.
Yeah, it's not the white papers on the drugs you're using, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, that just recently happened, by the way. This is like really fairly soon. There's a couple people we want to take that have made some comments, Adam.
Yeah.
Alicia made a comment, and then Robert.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I got so involved in talking. I was like, oh shit, I forgot to check comments.
Yeah.
So Alicia said Organifi was built by some of the edgiest podcasters. Organifi advertised through them. Was that part of your strategy, man?
We didn't do any of the traffic, so that was all Drew and his team.
Yeah.
All we did was essentially they were running a lot of traffic to a funnel, which would you buy a can of green juice and then it would upsell you 3 more or 6 more or whatever. And anybody that didn't want to buy all of that later on, or if they bought it and then needed more, they would go to their website. You wouldn't find that funnel again through an ad. And so we cleaned up the website. The numbers that I was talking about were just the website numbers. He was doing a lot more volume through the funnels than he ever did the website. And so it was kind of like the funnels drove the business, and then the website batted cleanup for him, which we've ended up doing with a lot of other brands, where their funnels drive the new customer acquisition, and then the store itself actually creates the brand because it's a place that they can go back and buy again and again.
So I wanna repeat that for the uninitiated among us and for anybody that's listening. By funnels, you mean the ad funnels, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And they had landing pages on, I think it was at the time, it was like a site called Unbounce. So it would be like shop.organifi, whatever name they gave it. And you would see an ad, you would go to this funnel and it would choreograph it. Those typically will convert much higher because you don't have a whole bunch of different options. You go to their website and they have probiotics and gummies and green juice and red juice and yellow juice. And so people get the paradox of choice, and conversions are lower than a funnel.
It's again, there's been a lot of good snippets from this chat, and I'm excited to go back and share them with some of the brands I work with. But again, speaking on behalf of the smaller folks, so many of them will be like, yeah, I'm gonna build my website or I'm gonna do my ads. I'm like, okay, but like, do you have any idea what you're actually doing? And again, I'm married to a woman who spent 15 years in marketing. Like, I know I don't know what I'm doing, right? But the problem remains, right? So the comment from Robert before we run out of time, he said, me too. I think this is when we're talking about the podcasting and kind of growing business by word of mouth. He said, me too. I just go on podcasts and tell the story. That's it. Get the brand on the shelf and let nature take its course. It happened this past week. But the business model being discussed is based on the opposite approach. Invest in engagement and pay to play. That's the Poppy model. Works for hype, but longevity, question mark. I still like the organic steps needed to prove a brand can actually exist, and then pay to play. So I'm wondering how that resonates with you.
I always tell people that you don't have a brand if you can't turn off your ads and still make sales. All you have is a good idea. You're taking sales and driving them to the brand or to the store to make sales. The way that you create a brand is you make sales. So
a brand, if you can't turn off your ads and still make sales, that's gold.
Yeah.
Gold.
Because
Hey,
really,
by the way,
a
his
brand
sniper-
is what a brand is it's a symbol of something that you trust, that you know, like, and trust them, and you'll go buy from them, not because they gave you an ad.
Amazing. Read the sign behind Matt's head, by the way. Let's take that one. Read that. You're muted, by the way, Chris. You're muted. You're muted. You have to unmute yourself. I muted you. Oh, you
Yeah, the
cannot.
feedback was happening from her mic to his.
Was it nothing changes? Nothing changes. Am I reading
Nothing
it right?
changes if nothing changes.
Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell
Matt,
us
I
a little
had a
bit about
question.
that. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
Matt, you had said the numbers with people shopping e-commerce, that seemed really low to me. You said something like 33%.
Yep.
That seems incredibly low to me after COVID and everything. Everyone I know is shopping online, and whether it's groceries and getting other things, delivered. I hate going into a store anymore. Brick and mortar just drives me crazy. And that is everyone around me. That
Sure.
number just to me stands out.
Yeah, so you can certainly Google it, and you can put it in the large language models and actually even look at what, you know, Amazon is over 50% of e-commerce. It's like 52% of
Wow.
online sales. And when you watch the interviews with Jeff Bezos, because people are saying, oh, they have a monopoly, he's still, Amazon is less than 5% of sales. So people just have this thought process that everybody does what we do, and it's just not true. If it was true, then all of these, different brick and mortar establishments
It's
wouldn't even
fascinating
exist.
to me. It's fascinating.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's amazing. All right, so we got a few minutes left. We always ask everybody that comes on the show, Matt. Maybe I didn't prepare you for it, but I did ask you a few weeks ago, and
Okay.
you've kind of answered the question I'm about to ask you. I know you're going to have a solid answer for this, and there's no right or wrong answer, but we always ask every founder this question: what is the difference between success and failure?
I think that that's different for every person. Uh, some people, it depends on what you value in your life, and you're not going to feel successful if you're looking for some outside of yourself to feel that. I think, I deal with a lot of coaching entrepreneurs to get get their head in the game and in the right place. I always tell all of them that there is no business problems. There's people problems. And what I mean by that is whatever business they're in, I can go find a competitor that's 5x bigger than they are doing just fine. So it's not a problem with the business, it's a problem with the people and the belief systems that are operating the business. And so I would just say success means where you find the place that makes you happy, not based off of what other people are doing, but what you choose is right for you.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. It's something that I'll go back and play that over and over again, plus all the snippets that you shared. So we just want to have some closing comments. So we'll just go around the group here. We'll go with Karas, Adam, and then Matt. You can wrap up, and I'll close it down from there. And I'll ask you all to stay on the line when we shut down.
I, for one, feel like I need to dip my toes into e-commerce and kind of, build my next adventure from there. You've really, really given me some new goals. It's been rewarding talking to you, Matthew. I've really learned a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll second that. It's been a really fun conversation. I appreciate the time. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to even for myself, right? Like I'm not I'm not running any ads at the moment, but if I think about like, if I was to stop, this shameless promotion of myself to my friends and others within earshot, would business still come my way? And I think sometimes it would a little bit, right? So maybe there's a
Yeah.
little bit of like an actual business or a brand that I have, but it's definitely a question worth marinating on and figuring out how to, have a more confident answer to it. So I think that's my biggest takeaway.
And Matt, would you like to leave everybody with any closing thoughts from you and about your journey, about your business? Please share.
Yeah, I would just say never give up. Uh, like we were talking about earlier, the struggle is where you learn the lesson, and there's no such thing as failure. If you use it as feedback, you're trying something and it's giving you feedback that it's not working, so you can iterate and then try again and iterate and try again until you get some traction, and success leaves clues. So don't try to reinvent the wheel. Find people that are doing it and model them to an extent that you can create the success for yourself.
And you need to write a book, by the way, if you haven't already, in terms of the information shared here is so powerful. And then if you are coaching entrepreneurs, good for you because you've been on that journey. And this knowledge you bring, and something that rang true with me is the fact is that your mind will limit you if you let it, right? So, you can
100%.
push much further than you know. So, like you said, don't give up. This has been a wonderful discussion. We'll make sure that Caress connects with you so we can, when we actually do put this on Apple and YouTube, our all our
Spotify.
social channels, which you can find us. We'll actually put how they get in contact with you and your business for sure. But thank you everyone this Saturday for joining us at Drink Up. We really appreciate those that join us in the chat. Alicia and Robert, thank you for your questions this morning. Greatly appreciated. We always appreciate participation here. And Matt, Adam, and Chris, thank you as well.
Thank you. Super fun.
Thanks.